Good evening and welcome to the Kuhn Academy, where we are not just learning history, we're making history. All right, this video is going to discuss the 19th Amendment and the crowning achievement of women earning the right to vote. Now, right with the 14th Amendment up, this is because in 1868, following Reconstruction, Congress passes the 14th Amendment and the states ratify it, which is an attempt to protect the freed slaves in the South and give the federal government more authority. All right, I have highlighted here the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. This is a very important clause we need to know because it's going to be the birth of the civil rights movement. Now, as soon as this is passed, women see this, and there's actually some division because you'll notice it doesn't say anything about male. It's the first time gender is not really used in the Constitution. It says person. So women look at this as an opportunity to say, well, maybe we can make that push for the right to vote. Okay, African Americans are going to earn the right to vote, and it says that they cannot deny a person, that's us, equal protection of the laws. Okay, so a case is filed in the Supreme Court, and we're going to talk about that, and the women lose. And basically, the court's argument is that this amendment was not designed to protect women, it was designed to protect African Americans. So two women kind of emerge. There's several, but these are kind of the two biggies in this push for suffrage. All right, and you're going to see it really take root around the turn of the century, and then carry on into World War One. All right, so this is one of the crowning achievements of the progressive era. Carrie Chapman Catt is an older woman of the two, right? And she gets involved in 1890, right at the birth of the progressive movement, in a group called NAWSA, National American Women's Suffrage Association. She's kind of carrying on the torch that Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton had started. She'd actually worked with them and known them. She becomes president in 1900 of this organization, and her big push is to get women the right to vote. She realizes that it's going to be very hard to amend the Constitution. After all, we had only done it to this point 15 times, and 10 were all at once, and then 3 were done during the Civil War. So the country just wasn't in the mood for that. So she said that if we concentrate on the states, because voting is not anywhere listed in the Constitution other than that you can't deny African Americans the right to vote. So she said if we get states to do it, all right, and some Western states had already given the right to vote, like Wyoming and Utah. Now you can figure out why Utah would. Women were very independent in Utah. So women had already earned the right to vote in those states. So she felt if we get this movement rolling and then more states do it, that it'll sort of pressure other states to eventually change their ways, and we'll have national women's suffrage. But we're going to do it on a state-by-state basis. It's cheaper, more effective, easier to concentrate your resources. Now she branched off the parent organization and started a bunch of local groups in an attempt to get women's suffrage passed. So she was preferring the local and sort of work within the system route. Okay, so maybe the more conservative of the two, if you want to use that term. Okay, and she is probably the most known and most credited of the what we call suffragettes, which were people pushing for suffrage. All right, Alice Paul would be what we would say is more militant or more active in what she's trying to do. You can just see from the picture she's much younger. Okay, she was part of NAWSA, but then she did not like their political strategy. She said this is waiting too long. We're basically subserving to men. It's not right. We should demand this. So she said, let's focus on getting a national amendment. Let's go big. Okay, and if we get the Constitution changed, every woman gets the right to vote. So in 1916, she forms the National Women's Party. Now, the good thing, she's taking root, she's being active, she's getting involved, but at the same time, 1916, the country is about to go to war with Germany, all right, World War I. So to challenge the national government is essentially challenging the president and challenge our country in wartime. So she's kind of working against the country, almost seeming unpatriotic by saying, look how they're treating us, okay? And you'll see her in the movie a lot tomorrow. So she wanted the right to vote in the exact same terms as men. And she started doing these things called silent sentinels, protesting outside the White House. She had a sign called Kaiser Wilson. Now, for those that know your world history, Nick Steven, you'll know that the Kaiser was the leader of Germany. So if we're comparing our president to the leader of our enemy, that's not too good. And she eventually got arrested for picketing and loitering for local ordinances, went to jail, and then staged a hunger strike. And I will leave it at that for now. Okay, but her point was let's go national and let's try and make change through a constitutional amendment, all right, which would require 2/3 of Congress and then 3/4 of the states in order to do that. Okay, that's going to take a lot more push. And she, talked to Wilson. Well, the president has nothing to do with this, but her thought was if the president would support this, this would sort of change the national mood and push for this. So our final piece of progressive legislation is in 1920, which is the 19th Amendment, which simply says the right to vote, a right of citizens to vote shall not be abridged on the account of sex. All right, so it basically it guarantees equality, guarantees the right to vote for men and women. That's going to usher in a big changing decade in the 1920s for women. But it's done through constitutional amendment. And the last state to pass it is Tennessee, and it literally came down to one vote. You'll see that in the movie tomorrow as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy the movie. It's called Iron Jawed Angels if you want to get a preview. And if I get time, I'm going to put up a YouTube video about women's suffrage you're going to enjoy too. So if you get a chance, try and watch all three of them. All right? Thanks for listening to the Kuhn Academy. And if you were around in 1920, you would have heard Alice Paul and Carrie Chapman Catt roar. Have a good night.